I found the messages at 2 a.m., and I still remember the exact color of the phone screen light hitting my face in the dark. My husband was asleep next to me, snoring, actually, like nothing was wrong. And 3 feet away from him, in my hands, was proof that my best friend of 15 years had been sleeping with him for the last 8 months. 8 months. That's not a slip. That's not a mistake. That's a whole secret life. If you're watching this, maybe you're going through something similar right now. Maybe you already know that feeling, where your whole world tilts sideways and you have to keep breathing like everything's normal. I want you to know, before anything else, you're going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it right now, but stay with me. I promise this story has a place it's going. Let me back up. My name doesn't matter for this story, so I'll just tell you who I was. I was 34 years old, married for 7 years. My husband, I'll call him Mark, and I met in our late 20s. He was funny, steady, the kind of guy who remembered how you took your coffee after one conversation. My friends thought I'd hit the jackpot. And my best friend, I'll call her Jenna, she was basically my sister. We met in college. She was there when my dad passed away. She was my maid of honor. She held my hand in a hospital waiting room when I had a miscarriage 2 years into my marriage. If you had asked me, out of every person on this earth, who I trusted the most besides my husband, it was her. So you can maybe understand why, when things started feeling a little off, I didn't even consider the two of them together. That thought wasn't even in the realm of possibility for me. It was like asking me to suspect my own sister. Life had gotten hard before any of this happened, by the way. I want to be honest about that. Mark and I had been struggling financially. He'd lost his job in tech about a year before I found out, and money got tight fast. We were behind on the mortgage. I picked up extra shifts at the marketing agency I worked for, just trying to keep us afloat. I was tired all the time, stretched thin. The kind of tired where you stop noticing the small things because you're just trying to survive the big ones. Looking back, I think that exhaustion is part of why I missed the signs for so long. When you're drowning, you're not exactly watching the shoreline for danger. You're just trying to keep your head above water. The first thing I noticed, and I didn't even register it as a red flag at the time, was that Jenna started coming around less. We used to talk every single day, multiple times a day sometimes. Then it slowed down. She'd take longer to text back. She'd cancel our Sunday coffee thing we'd done for years. I remember thinking, maybe she's just busy. Or maybe I did something to upset her. I actually spent weeks worrying that I was the problem. I even apologized to her once for something I couldn't even name, just because the distance between us felt so heavy and I wanted it gone. She said, "You didn't do anything. Don't be silly." And she hugged me. She actually hugged me while this was happening. Meanwhile, Mark started working out more. New haircut. New cologne. He said it was for job interviews, to feel more confident. I believed him, because why wouldn't I? You don't look for lies from the people you trust most. That's not how trust works. Trust means you stop checking. He started staying out later. Said it was networking events, old coworkers, that kind of thing. Some nights I'd fall asleep on the couch waiting for him and wake up to him quietly climbing into bed, smelling like a shower. He definitely didn't take it home. You might be wondering how I didn't put it together sooner. Honestly, I asked myself that too. But I think when you love someone, and when someone else has earned your trust over 15 years, your brain does this thing where it fights to protect the story you already believe. It finds explanations. It makes excuses on their behalf, before they even need to make their own. There was a night, I remember this clearly, where the three of us were actually together. Mark, Jenna, and me having dinner at our place like we used to all the time.
And I caught something.
Just a look between them. Half a second. Nothing you could point to and say that's evidence. But something in my stomach dropped anyway. That old, ancient, animal part of your brain that knows before you know.
I didn't say anything.
I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself the stress of money problems was making me imagine things that weren't there. I wish I had trusted that feeling. I really do. But I also understand why I didn't. Because believing it meant losing everything at once. My husband, my best friend, my whole support system. Who wants to believe that? The night I found out started completely normal. Mark's phone buzzed while he was in the shower. I wasn't snooping, I want to be clear about that. His phone was just sitting on the nightstand, and a message popped up on the screen. I saw Jenna's name, and I saw the first line of the message.
I'm not going to repeat what it said.
But I will tell you, it was not a message you send a friend's husband. My hands were shaking so bad, I almost couldn't type in his passcode, which I only knew because I'd helped him set the phone up years ago. And once I was in, it was like pulling one thread and watching an entire sweater unravel in front of me. Months of messages, photos,
Plans.
times they met, lies they told me to cover for each other. Jenna had used our friendship, used the trust one had in her, to help Mark lie to my face, over and over again. I sat on the bathroom floor outside the shower door, scrolling, and I remember feeling like I was watching this happen to someone else. Like I was outside my own body. There's a kind of pain that's too big to feel all at once, so your mind sort of protects you from it in pieces. That's what that night was. Pieces. I didn't scream. I didn't cry, not yet. I just said, "How long?" He didn't even try to lie. That almost made it worse. He just sat down on the edge of the bathtub, put his head in his hands, and said, 8 months. 8 months of dinners together. 8 months of her asking about my marriage like she cared. 8 months of me defending her to other people who said she seemed distant. 8 months of me being the only person in this triangle who didn't know the truth. I won't pretend the next few weeks were anything but a blur of the worst pain I've ever felt. I moved out of our bedroom into the guest room that same night. I didn't sleep. I remember standing in my kitchen at 4 a.m. eating cereal straight out of the box because I couldn't remember the last time I'd actually cooked a meal, and I just started crying so hard I had to sit down on the floor. I called my mom. I couldn't even get full sentences out. She just stayed on the phone with me, not saying much, just being there while I cried until I had nothing left. The financial stress didn't disappear either. If anything, it got worse, because now I was looking at potentially being a single woman with a mortgage I could barely afford on my own, in a house that suddenly felt like it belonged to strangers. I confronted Jenna too, obviously. That conversation is one I still think about. I asked her how she could do this to me, after everything, after my dad's funeral, after the miscarriage, after 15 years of being there for each other.
She cried.
She said she never meant for it to happen. She said things like, "We didn't plan it, and it just happened," which, if you've ever heard those words from someone who betrayed you, you know how hollow they sound. Nothing like this just happens. It happens because choices get made. Small ones again and again that lead somewhere big. I told her I never wanted to speak to her again. And I meant it. For a while, I fell into a really dark place. I stopped going out. I stopped answering calls from other friends because I didn't trust my own judgment about who was safe anymore. If I could be wrong about Jenna, who else was I wrong about? That kind of thinking can eat you alive if you let it. I lost weight I didn't need to lose. I stopped eating properly, not on purpose, just because food felt pointless. Some mornings getting out of bed felt like the hardest physical task I'd ever done. If you've been there, you know what I mean. The weight of just existing can feel unbearable some days. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I handled all of this gracefully, because I didn't. There were nights I said things out of pure rage that I'm not proud of. There were days I couldn't function at work and had to step outside just to breathe through a panic attack in my car. The turning point for me didn't come as one big, dramatic moment. I wish I could tell you there was a single scene like in a movie where everything suddenly became clear. But real life isn't like that. It came slowly, through a lot of small moments stacked on top of each other. One of those moments was a conversation with my mom a few weeks after everything fell apart. I was sitting at her kitchen table, and I said something like, "I don't know who I am without them." Meaning Mark, meaning Jenna, meaning the life I thought I had. And my mom said something I'll never forget. She said, "You keep talking about who you are without them. But who are you before them?" That question sat with me for days. Because the truth was, I had spent so many years building my identity around being someone's wife, someone's best friend, that I had genuinely forgotten who I was on my own. Before Mark, before Jenna, before any of it. So I started asking myself that question over and over. Who was I before? I remembered I used to paint. I hadn't touched a canvas in years because there wasn't time. I remembered I used to want to travel, back before the mortgage and the routines and the version of adulthood I'd settled into. I remembered I used to laugh, really laugh, the kind that makes your stomach hurt, and I couldn't remember the last time that had happened. Another turning point came from something smaller. I was scrolling through old photos, deleting the ones with Mark and Jenna in them, and I found a picture of myself from a solo trip I took in my 20s, before I met either of them. I was standing on a beach somewhere, laughing at something out of frame, completely alone and completely happy. I looked at that photo for a long time. That version of me didn't need Mark, didn't need Jenna. She was whole on her own. I realized that somewhere along the way, I had let my sense of self depend entirely on two people who ended up betraying me together. And as painful as that realization was, it also felt like the beginning of something. Because if my worth wasn't tied to them, then their betrayal, as devastating as it was, didn't have to define the rest of my life. I want to be honest with you, healing wasn't linear. Some days I felt strong and clear-headed, like I was finally moving forward. Other days, out of nowhere, I'd see a message notification pop up or hear a song that reminded me of them, and I'd be right back on that bathroom floor. But slowly, I started rebuilding. I filed for divorce about 4 months after finding out. It wasn't an easy decision financially. I knew I'd be taking on a lot on my own, but staying felt like a slower kind of death. I moved into a smaller apartment. It was humbling, honestly. Going from a house I'd decorated and loved to a one-bedroom apartment with boxes I hadn't fully unpacked for weeks. But it was mine.
Completely mine.
I picked up painting again. Badly, at first. My first few pieces back were honestly not great, but it didn't matter. It wasn't about being good. It was about remembering that I had things inside me that had nothing to do with anyone else's approval. I started therapy, which I probably should have done years earlier, honestly, for a whole bunch of reasons. My therapist helped me understand something important, that betrayal like this isn't a reflection of my worth. People make choices based on their own brokenness, their own selfishness, their own issues. It says everything about them and nothing about me. That took a long time to actually believe, not just understand intellectually. There's a difference between knowing something in your head and actually feeling it in your bones. It took months of small, deliberate work to get there. I also had to rebuild trust in my ability to judge people. That was maybe the hardest part. For a long time, I second-guessed every new friendship, every kind gesture from a coworker, wondering what they really wanted from me. Slowly, though, I let a few people back in.
Carefully.
Not naively, but not closed off either. Financially, things were tight for a long time. I won't pretend otherwise. I picked up freelance work on top of my job. I budgeted every single dollar. There were months I genuinely wasn't sure I'd make rent, but I did it. Every single month, I figured it out. And there's a strange kind of pride that comes from knowing you can hold your own life together, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. It's been almost 2 years now since that night on the bathroom floor. I'm not the same woman I was before this happened. I used to think that was a sad thing to say. Now I think it's actually the most important thing I could tell you.
I'm more careful, yes.
But I'm also more honest with myself. I don't perform happiness. I don't feel anymore. Not even for people I love. I don't shrink myself to keep the peace. I trust my instincts now, that quiet voice that tried to warn me at that dinner table all that time ago. I listen to it now. I haven't spoken to Jenna since that conversation. Mark and I finalized the divorce, and honestly, I don't feel anger toward him the way I used to. Not because what he did was okay, it wasn't, but because I've stopped needing him to feel sorry in order for me to feel whole. My healing stopped depending on his guilt a long time ago. I started dating again recently, actually.
Slowly. Carefully.
And it's strange because I notice myself paying attention to different things now. Not just how someone treats me, but how they treat everyone. How they talk about their exes. Whether their actions match their words over time. Not just in a single grand gesture. If there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's this. Betrayal from people you trust most doesn't just break your heart. It shakes your whole sense of reality. It makes you question your judgment, your instincts, your entire understanding of the people around you. But here's what I've learned. You are not the sum of other people's choices. You are not defined by who betrayed you. You are defined by what you build afterward, brick by brick, even when your hands are shaking and you don't know if you have the strength to lift another one. I also learned that some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones quietly rebuilding their lives after something shattered them completely, and nobody even knows because they're doing it with grace, in private, without asking for applause. If you're going through something like this right now, whether it's a spouse, a friend, a family member, I want you to know that the pain you're feeling is real, and it makes sense, and you don't have to rush through it. But I also want you to know there is a version of you on the other side of this. Stronger.
Clearer.
More you than you've been in a long time. I never thought I'd be sitting here, telling this story to strangers on the internet. But if my experience helps even one person feel less alone tonight, then it was worth putting into words. If you've been through something similar, I would love to hear your story in the comments. Sometimes just writing it out, saying it loud, even to strangers, is the first step toward healing. We're not alone in this, even when it feels like we are. And if this video meant something to you, please consider subscribing. I'll be sharing more stories like this, real struggles, real growth, real people rebuilding their lives one day at a time.
Take care of yourself this week.
And remember, whatever you're carrying right now, you are stronger than you think. I'll see you in the next one.